I'm happy to teach through online classes. The topic I have taken for discussion today is supervised learning in machine learning. So, I will be discussing in detail about supervised learning. So, how supervised learning works. So, in supervised machine learning, we have machine learning algorithms. We actually train the machine learning algorithms with categorized or labeled input, and then we test the machine learning algorithm to see whether it tags new data appropriately. If not, we continue refine the algorithm. We again take a training data set that has categorized or labeled input, and after machine undergoes that process, we need to test with the testing data set, which is unlabeled. When it maps or classifies it, then no problem. We can add a number of testing data samples or data sets and find the suitable solution. So, we give categorized or labeled input. We train the ML algorithm initially. This is the training data set. And then the second step is we need to test the ML algorithm with the unlabeled information. And the ML algorithm will classify it in the labeled form appropriately. Yes, when it has then do the appropriate job, then we need to again train the ML algorithm with the categorized or labeled input data set. Yes. So in supervised learning, we have two categories. One is classification, the second one is regression. Let's see about this in detail in the next class. Today, let's explain in detail about supervised learning. Supervised learning. It is based on supervision. Here we train the machine using the label dataset. Based on the training, the machine predicts the output. Here, the labeled data specifies that some of the inputs are already mapped to the output. First, we train the machine with the input and corresponding output. And then we ask the machine to predict the output using the test dataset. Let us see this supervised learning with an example. Suppose we have an input dataset of cats and dog images. So, first we will provide the training to the machine to understand the images, such as the shape and size of the tail of dog and cat, shape of eyes, color, height, etc. After completion of training, we input a picture of a cat and ask the machine to identify the object and predict the output. Now, the machine is well trained, so it will check all the features of the object, such as height, color, shape, eyes, ears, tail, etc., and find that it's a cat. So it will put it in the category. This is the process of how the machine identifies the objects in supervised learning. The main goal of the supervised learning technique is to map the input variable x with the output variable y. So, some real world applications of supervised learning are risk assessment, fraud detection, spam filtering, etc. In risk assessment, we train the data set of the risk that have been occurred to the ML algorithms, and we test the ML algorithms giving the unlabeled data, and we look whether the risk being found correctly based on the input training data set. The same goes with the fraud and the spam filtering, but the training data set will be different. In risk assessment, the risk that have been calculated in any process, assessed in any applications, will be taken as input. In fraud detection, the fraud detection data set is taken. And in the spam filtering, the email training data set. And for testing data set are used. Now, let us see the categories of supervised machine learning. In supervised machine learning, we further classify that into two types of problems. The one is classification, and the second one is regression. This we will discuss in the next class. Thank you for today's class.